single day, like I've always done and always will.
Passing these bills on the floor, making yet another stand.
Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Chantel Destra. While there is rightfully a lot of attention around the presidential election this year, there are also a slew of other competitive races and important measures on the ballot in New York. This year, New Yorkers will have the opportunity to vote for or against adding the Equal Rights Amendment to the state constitution. If enacted, the amendment would prohibit discrimination on things like a person's ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and pregnancy outcomes. The legislation, which lawmakers passed earlier this year, has survived legal threats and court rulings throughout the summer. Recently, the Board of Elections released language on how the measure will appear on the ballot, which concerned both advocates and lawmakers. They argue voters will have a hard time understanding what the amendment would actually do and have called on the Board of Elections to revise the language. To understand the impact of the measure and plans to educate voters ahead of Election Day, we spoke with the lead sponsor of the legislation, State Senator Liz Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us today, Senator.
Happy to.
Now, you are the lead sponsor of the legislation that would amend the state constitution to prohibit discrimination on things like a person's ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and pregnancy outcome. Now, I wanted to understand, what do you want New Yorkers to know about the measure as they head to the polls this November?
So this is a proposal that changes the New York State Constitution. Most of us don't walk around with a copy of the Constitution. We don't read it. It only really matters to us when there's some kind of lawsuit challenging that you've been discriminated against. And it even matters if you think you have a law protecting you, but then someone goes to court and says, well, that's not in the Constitution. So the law isn't really constitutional. So I really can discriminate against you. And that's wrong. So the last time this part of the Constitution was opened up for discussion or change was in the mid-1930s. That's almost 100 years ago. The world has changed. Who we are has changed. So right now, the Constitution only protects you from discrimination based on race, creed, and religion. But of course, there are many other reasons people get discriminated against, and we want to build into the Constitution that they can't discriminate against you based on ethnicity, or national origin, or age, or disability, or sex. And when you talk about sex, it includes sexual orientation, gender identity, and reproductive health rights, such as the right to carry a pregnancy or to end a pregnancy. And so that issue at this moment in history is particularly on most women's minds, if not everybody's minds, because what did we learn? We can't trust the Supreme Court. We're going to have to do it alone, folks, because the Supreme Court ruled against our reproductive health rights, even though no one believed that could ever be possible. And we're living in a country where 24 states have now basically moved towards complete banning of abortions and even birth control and even medical care for a miscarriage. So this country's getting a little crazy, and we have to strengthen our protections as much as we can in our Constitution, because we're a state, and I believe the vast majority of people don't want anyone discriminated against them or others, and we should make sure that that's clear in our Constitution.
And as we know, there have been some legal challenges to the amendment. Earlier this summer, a judge sided with Republican lawmakers to have the amendment thrown off the ballot, and then later the Court of Appeals restored the amendment to be back on the ballot. So what do you make of all the legal challenges on the amendment? Did anything surprise you?
No, we certainly expected this. And it was a Republican strategy to try to get this off the ballot because, shocking as it may be, The New York State Republican Party has fought abortion protections and rights and LGBT rights and other people's rights for as long as I've been in the Senate. And for the record, when they controlled the Senate from the late 30s through 2018, the vast majority of those years, they never entertained expanding or modernizing any of these rights in law. It was only on the second day of the Democratic control of the Senate in 2019 that we finally passed the Reproductive Health Act, establishing that the right to abortion was a health right within the health law. So I'm not surprised. And it was not an attempt that was going to be successful, and we knew that, but they tried. And now they are not saying they are working against the Equal Rights Amendment, but of course they are through sort of fake grassroots organizations that are funded by anti-choice funders and being operated through the Conservative Party with Republican Party blessings. So frankly, this has ended up being partisan, and it has ended up being sort of almost absurdly confusing because they don't want to come out and say, we're against abortion rights. But actually, that's what their effort is trying to do, stop abortion rights from moving forward in New York.
And what do you make of the perspective from critics who say that New York already has abortion access and reproductive rights, and the amendment is just too broad in its nature?
Okay, the amendment is not too broad in its nature. I just described to you who it's trying to protect. And don't we all think that people above a certain age should have equal rights? Don't we all think people with medical or physical or developmental disabilities should have equal rights? Don't we mostly think people should have equal rights if they're LGBT, if they have a different ethnicity than us? I mean, we sort of seem to establish that doing that for race and religion is not wrong. It's correct. It's been the Constitution now for almost 100 years, and it's proved to be very important. So I don't know why people think we don't need this. And again, I'll go back to the Supreme Court reversing itself on Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision. Other cases since then, states who at one time, very recently, supported abortion rights, reversing themselves. You know, you only need one change in a governor's office to blow this whole thing up. And frankly, we almost got an anti-choice Republican last governor's election. It was just a 3% difference. So when people say it doesn't matter here, I'm like, you're not really paying attention. Yes, it does matter. It matters for everyone.
And when the Board of Elections posted language on the measure earlier this summer, there was a lot of concern because the measure, as it appears on the ballot, will not include the words abortion or LGBTQ+, and supporters seem to be worried that the impact of the measure may not be clear to voters at this juncture. So I'm curious, what will be the strategy from Democrats to improve awareness of the ballot measure heading into November?
Great question. So yes, we're very disappointed that the Board of Election, which is made up of 2 Republican commissioners and 2 Democratic commissioners, did not do what the law said they were supposed to do, which was to turn all ballot questions into simple English at no more than an 8th grade reading level. We passed a separate law saying that, but they ignored it, and somehow the courts let them get away with it. So instead, we get a 15th grade reading level and a very complex set of language. And it's true, constitutional language is complex with intention, which is why we wanted the simpler English for the ballot. We didn't get that. So now our job is to make sure everybody understands exactly what this ballot amendment would do. And we are confident when they understand that, they will vast majority vote for it. But we are very disturbed that there are various groups spreading completely untrue storylines about this, that somehow if you vote yes on this ballot proposal, people are going to come and take your children and force them to have gender changing surgery. No, nothing to do with this amendment, not true. That you're going to be forced to have no girls' sports teams in schools. No, not true. Nothing to do with this amendment. So they keep spreading some pretty ridiculous statements because they know they just can't come out and say, hey, we don't think there should be abortion rights in New York State. We don't think there should be LGBT rights in New York State. So we're going to panic you all with false information and get you to not vote yes. So our job is to make it clear to people exactly what this amendment will do, why it is common sense in 2024. And guess what? There are states all over the country that are passing constitutional amendments also to ensure rights for abortion and LGBT people. We're not even out of the norms.
And are you currently in conversations with the New York State Democratic Party to, develop a strategy to garner support of the measure ahead of Election Day?
Absolutely. The party's already committed itself publicly to messaging this clearly in their coordinated campaign efforts for the congressional and state races happening this year. They're putting money behind it. There's a coalition that's come together of many, many groups working to both improve on the messaging and distributing materials. I know I'm having my own webinar to educate people next month. We're doing flyering with Democratic clubs and other organizations who believe in this initiative all over the state. So yes, we are doing many, many things to educate the public about what this amendment is, because truthfully, up until now, when you say to people, please vote yes for the ERA proposal 1, they go, what the hell are we talking about? And that's the problem. So we need to get the word out. We need to invest in making sure we're letting voters know they need to turn over the ballot. How many voters don't even realize when you go to vote, you need to turn over the ballot. There's not just one proposal there. I think there's 4 or 5 for the city charter as well.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Senator.
Thank you very much.
And we were speaking with State Senator Liz Krueger. For more information on the Equal Rights Ballot Measure, you can visit our website. That's at nynow.org. And apart from election season, college students have recently made their return to campuses across the state for the new semester. As you may recall, we spoke with SUNY Chancellor John King back in June about his State of the University address, as well as his vision for the state's public universities rooted in 4 main pillars. Chancellor King recently joined us back in the studio to unpack how those pillars are playing out this school year, as well as his strategy for securing aid in the next legislative session. Here's that conversation. Thank you for joining us today, Chancellor.
Excited to join you.
Now, at the time that we're filming this, students are making their way back to SUNY campuses across the state. And I know when you gave your State of the University address at the top of the summer, you highlighted 4 main pillars, which were student success, research and scholarship, DEI, and economic development and upward mobility. So how do you see those pillars coming to life this year?
Those pillars really are central to our overall strategy of ensuring that SUNY is the best public higher education system in the country. And I got a chance over this summer to see all 4 pillars in action. I got a chance to visit with our SUNY students that are participating in internship programs that are going to set them up for success, not only in their college studies, but in their careers after they graduate. I had the chance to spend time at our university at Buffalo, where we're launching Empire AI, Governor Hochul's initiative to ensure New York's leadership in artificial intelligence research. Got a chance to talk with researchers, brought a group of legislators with me so they could hear from the researchers how AI will be leveraged to tackle healthcare challenges, to improve advanced manufacturing, to predict extreme weather events. I got a chance this summer to visit a project we have called Timbuktu, where we're bringing diverse students from New York City up to the Adirondacks to learn both about climate and about New York's history around issues of race and equity. And then many of those students will end up becoming, after they graduate from high school, students at our Environmental Science and Forestry College in Syracuse. So we're living our DI values. And then, of course, on economic development and upward mobility, thanks to Governor Hochul and the legislature, we were able to invest $5 million this year in expanding healthcare workforce development programs across our community colleges. And I was able to see that firsthand at SUNY Sullivan, where they're going to expand their nursing program thanks to those dollars. We have a huge nursing shortage in the country and the state, and we're trying to solve that at SUNY. So we really are living those values every day here at SUNY.
And the last time you joined us on the show, we unpacked how SUNY had its first increase in enrollment for the first time in a decade. So can you tell us how this year's enrollment looks in comparison to last year?
You know, it's early days. These are preliminary numbers. We're still in the period where students are just beginning their classes, but we're optimistic that we're going to see gains in enrollment. Certainly on individual campuses, we've seen some very impressive early gains. There are a number of factors. You know, we've worked very hard at getting the message out that SUNY is high quality and affordable, that our tuition at our four-year institutions is just over $7,000, which is much less than private institutions and other state institutions in other states around the country. Also making clear that 52% of our students go to SUNY tuition free, thanks to federal and state aid. So as word gets out on those things, we're seeing the students come, but we also are making sure students know the range of opportunities at SUNY, from the arts at Purchase to the opportunity to prepare for careers in engineering at Binghamton, to the opportunity to learn atmospheric science at University of Albany. There's so many things that you could do, and certainly our community colleges are seeing some positive signs of enrollment gains. Folks know community colleges can translate right into great jobs, whether it's in the semiconductor industry or green jobs. And as students hear that message, families hear that message, they are coming to SUNY. We're glad to have them.
And we saw unrest on some SUNY campuses back in the spring. So does SUNY currently have a plan in place on how to handle student protests or any type of demonstration centered around the war in Gaza currently?
Absolutely. Look, at SUNY, our first priority is student safety. We need to make sure that our campuses are places where students feel safe and are able to pursue their academic interests undisrupted. That said, we are also places where there can be debate about hard questions, and we've got to balance those two ideas. And so we've worked with our campuses to prepare for this fall to make sure that they have clear policies in place around what's called content neutral time, place, and manner restrictions. Where can you protest? How can you protest? At what times of day can you protest? How do we make sure you aren't blocking someone's path to class when you're protesting? We also are working with our campuses on civil discourse. How do you engage in respectful debate where you're not attacking someone's identity? And we will enforce our rules around speech. And that means that we are a place where there is free speech, but we are a place also where there cannot be harassment or discrimination against any group of students. And we have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism on our campuses, and we will take action when we get reports of bias and make sure that our campuses are safe for all our students.
And with just a few weeks until the legislative session at the state capitol, what will be your strategy for what is likely to be a pretty intense budget process given the projected deficits? How do you plan to push for increased investments into SUNY?
Well, the good news is, thanks to Governor Hochul's commitment to SUNY and our champions in the legislature, we've seen the largest increase in state support in 5 decades over the last 2 years. Now, that said, we continue to make the case that investing in public higher education is an investment in the state's long-term success. If we want to lead, whether it's in artificial intelligence or the semiconductor industry or renewable energy, our public higher ed institutions are going to be the places that prepare that workforce and do the research that will help us lead in New York. So we're going to keep making that case. I'm very optimistic. When I'm with legislators at our campuses, they are blown away by the quality of education students are receiving and the vital role SUNY is playing in economic development. You think about the role that Binghamton is playing in the evolution of the battery industry in the southern tier. That's the future of economic development in that region. Folks see that. You think about Albany Nanotech and what UAlbany is doing in partnership with Albany Nanotech to drive the semiconductor industry forward in New York. Huge opportunity. SUNY's right in the heart of it. So folks understand an investment in SUNY is an investment in New York's future.
And looking back to this year's budget that was enacted a few months ago, it provided funds to keep SUNY Downstate open for at least one more year. So where do you see the budget conversations around the hospital next year?
We came into last year's legislative session facing the potential that Downstate Hospital would run out of money to keep operating by this summer. And we worked, thanks to the governor's leadership, to address that. So we have 2 years of funding to cover the $100 million a year deficit that the institution faced. And the legislature set aside $300 million in capital for us to make changes to a building that is really in disrepair and at risk of catastrophic failure. Now, the legislation created an advisory board to gather community feedback so that we can put those capital dollars to use to strengthen the Health Sciences University, the medical school at SUNY Downstate, which is so important, and improve healthcare outcomes for the community. It may look different, a different mix of services than has been provided in the past, different facility than has been provided in the past, but our goal is to put those dollars to use to serve the community. The governor and legislature also agreed that the advisory board could make recommendations up to $750 million in capital. So I'm sure there'll be lots of conversation in the legislative session about those capital dollars to make sure that we can fulfill this vision of a stronger health sciences university and better health outcomes in Central Brooklyn.
And you recently announced an expansion to the Educational Opportunity Program, which will include graduate programs in mental health studies and engineering. So can you tell us a little bit about what went into that decision to offer an expansion of that program?
So EOP is a phenomenal program. It's been around for 50 years. It's a pathway for students who are very low income and may have academic challenges to get the support they need to succeed in college. And we have a pre-med EOP program where we work with some of those EOP students to help them prepare to apply to medical school, get into medical school. And the idea here is we're going to expand that now to mental health and engineering, because we want to make sure that we have a pipeline of diverse candidates into those fields. And we want to make sure our EOP students have every opportunity to succeed, not only while in college, but after they graduate. So we're very excited about that program. We have EOP alums in the state legislature. There are more than 85,000 folks who are excelling in their careers across New York State because of the EOP program. It's really a wonderful tradition in New York.
And lastly, you were recently appointed to the state's Energy Planning Board, which is tasked with updating energy policies in the state. So can you tell us more about that appointment and how you're hoping it will impact your work as chancellor?
Yeah, I'm certainly grateful to Governor Hochul for her confidence. We're excited to be a part of the conversation in the Energy Planning Board because of SUNY's critical role. We have 40% of the state's public buildings. We have to be a part of the state's strategy to reach net zero, to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. We also at SUNY, because of our research capacity, can contribute to the advancements we need in renewable energy, geothermal, solar, wind. We also have a vital role to play in preparing the workforce for those industries in New York State. So it's very natural, I think, for SUNY to be at the table for these conversations. And I'm excited about the governor's commitment for New York to be a leader nationally in moving us away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy, protecting our environment, and also preparing us to be resilient to some of the challenges that climate change is already bringing, like these extreme weather events.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to connect with us, Chancellor.
Thanks so much for the conversation.
And we were speaking with SUNY Chancellor John King. And for more information on the Chancellor's vision for SUNY in the new school year, you can visit our website. Again, that's at nynow.org. You can also subscribe to our newsletter by going to newsletter.nynow.org or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Well, that does it for this edition of New York Now. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.
Funding for New York Now is provided by WNET,